Oliver Slope is with Blue Line Futures. Oliver, I made a couple of notes based on your notes this morning, your commentary, and on corn. A couple of things that you wrote. One, active trade in that December contract, but also something known as a Santa Claus rally. What are those?
Well, before we get into the Santa Claus rally, I just want to say thank you to all the veterans and their families for the tremendous sacrifice and for the freedoms that we have in this great country. It's greatly appreciated. The Santa Claus rally, November can be a very, very tricky month for the corn market, but once we turn the calendar over into December, we start to see that firm up a little bit. Whether or not that'll play true this year is still a big question mark. I think, starting the week here, what we're looking at is kind of a little bit of a fundamental rejection, right? We got a pretty darn friendly USDA report last week, and the inability to really have a sustainable rally on the back of that, on those big yield cuts in corn and specifically soybeans, is certainly a caution sign here in the near term and could potentially lead to a little bit more retracement. But again, we start working our way into the back half of November and into December. The tides could certainly shift. That's what the seasonal trend suggests, but we'll just have to play it by ear until then.
All right, let's go to wheat for a moment. Volatility. I think you noted a 12-year low in volatility. Is that right?
We have just been trading very, very sideways. I often refer to it as a stick in the mud, as it has been. 560 to 580 in that December contract has been the trading range. The fund participation has been sideways for the better part of the last 2.5 months. But this morning, we're breaking below the lower end of that trading range, which could open the door for additional technical pressure and potentially some liquidation from the funds who are just holding a relatively neutral position. So that selling pressure could feed on itself. The next downside support in that December contract comes in near 540. It'll be interesting to see if that can hold or not. We talked about the seasonals and corn and soybeans, and for wheat, seasonally, this isn't a very friendly time of year, so potentially that's playing a role in today's weakness as well.
All right, Oliver, hang on. We'll take a break, come back. We'll talk livestock futures with Oliver Slope. Let's bring back in Oliver Slope, Blue Line Futures. Oliver, we talk about the quotes a lot, but how important are the funds and bringing fund money, F-U-N-D, not F-U-N, how bringing fund money into these markets?
Well, they play a big role. They can move the market around, especially in the livestock market where the overall volume, trade volume, can be a little bit thinner. You talked about hogs being just a stone's throw away and from triple digits in some of those deferred contracts, and I think fund participation can be attributed to that. Looking at Friday's Commitment of Traders report, we showed funds net long about 121,000 futures and options contracts, which blows away previous records. And to me, that's a big warning sign. Not to say that the market can't continue higher on the back of strong fundamentals, but the fact that it just leaves the door open for a tremendous amount of downside risk if the fundamentals do stagnate or even soften. You've got a lot of people rushing for the exit doors at one time, and in the livestock markets, that can be a very narrow exit door. And when looking at participation from funds, you can see the same thing in the cattle complex as well. Funds and live cattle net long just over 101,000 futures and options contracts, the longest since last September 2023. And for feeder cattle, the longest since earlier this year in March when we topped out. So the fund participation been propping things up. My concern is that there is risk of long liquidation. So if you do need to manage risk and protect the downside, I think now is an excellent time to take a look at that.
Oliver, always great points, and thanks for talking about the funds, F-U-N-D-S. It's always fun to have you here, so come back and see us soon. Okay. I've run